Hello, we are back with another Play or Pass, where we jump into some co-op and multiplayer games and give you our thoughts on whether or not they're worth picking up. And if you feel like joining myself and Nex for more co-op and multiplayer content, feel free to subscribe and sit back each week as we review and play through all sorts of different titles. Today we're covering Smite. Smite is a free-to-play online MOBA, or multiplayer online battle arena, developed and published by Hi-Rez Studios. In Smite, you choose from a selection of gods, goddesses, and other mythological creatures, each with their own passive and active abilities, playstyles, and roles within the team. And with over 100 characters to choose from, there will likely be more than one which is a good match for your playstyle. With your chosen god, you dive into a number of different game modes, where you battle against the opposition to push lanes, jungle, and ultimately destroy your opponent's base. MOBAs have been hugely popular competitive games in the past, and titles like Dota and League of Legends have captured the attention of a massive audience. However, unlike these games, Smite has implemented a third-person camera view in place of the traditional top-down view. And while you do lose some of the awareness that the wider top-down view provides, there is a decent chunk of the player base that come to Smite because they prefer the more immersive and involved third-person view. Smite originally released in 2014, and since launch has had constant updates, balancing patches, and the addition of new heroes. The game also has a successful esports scene, with regular tournaments and their annual $1 million Smite World Championship. While the game has been around for a while, it still seems to be a fan favourite in the MOBA genre. So we jumped in to let you know in 2021 if Smite is a play or a pass.
Smite has been on our radar for many years, and even as a fan of MOBAs, there's always been something about this game that stopped us giving it a go. Well, there's no time like the present. Smite seems to be doing well, has an impressive amount of updates and improvements, and remains relevant in player count and livestream views. The graphical detail is actually really impressive looking, even more so for an old title. Characters all have their unique looks, skill animations are clear and well telegraphed, and it's rare for particle effects to clutter up the screen. Although it's a MOBA, I want to refrain from comparing the experience directly to the likes of Dota and League, as its third-person nature actually makes it quite a different game. By being bound to your character's perspective, you can't watch other lanes in as much detail, but in return you have a more intimate laning and different team fighting experience. Additionally, Smite has a bunch of modes unique to it that can't be found in most MOBAs. The interfaces are one of the biggest letdowns for Smite. Menus look dated and aren't built for intuitive use. Filtering through champions feels closer to shopping in a web browser than being a pleasurable experience. When you scroll down the list of gods, read the information of one and return back to the list, you're brought back to the top and have to scroll all the way back down to where you were. The in-game interface, however, was acceptable, the design choice not to my liking but layout no different to any others in the genre. The god classes cover an impressive range of heroes and mythical creatures. These gods utilise either magical or physical power and fall into 5 archetypes that help define their role: Hunters, Guardians, Mages, Warriors and Assassins. To further accommodate different playstyles, items can be bought at the shop that buff various damage types and provide unique effects. These can drastically change your approach to a fight, depending on the build you go for. Each god also has a relic slot and vision slot, which can be upgraded, providing a long cooldown buff and a vision ward. Depending on what you want to do, there are a few different game types to choose in Smite. Your standard MOBA 3-lane 5v5 mode with single and 2-lane variants, some with 5v5 or 3v3 options, a more focused PvP arena mode, and a special mode that has a unique rule set and changes daily, all with casual and competitive options depending on what environment you like to play in. It's hard to comment objectively on the mechanics of a game like this. As with all competitive games, there's a huge disparity in skill level between the top and the bottom, and therefore really varying interpretations of what elements are good and bad design. However, the general feel for us was a positive one. Every skill you throw out seemed to be a skill shot, including your auto attack, making exchanges with your enemies quite rewarding. Ground targeting felt hard to control in the thick of a fight due to having to pick between where you're looking and where you want to land your skill, but as that's a constraint for all players, it's not a problem. Mobility was the only element I didn't like initially, but was alleviated when changing the settings a bit. The main reason being that all skills are set to normal cast. You press the button and have to click to use the skill. However, this in my opinion makes the game mechanics feel a little clunky. Switching movement abilities to instant cast, for example, will have them activate immediately on skill press, further enhancing the flow of gameplay where reaction times are important. One particularly strange issue that we had was this Windows ding sound playing at the start and end of the game loading screen. It was happening on both of our setups, and although it was initially really annoying, it happened so often we just started to find it funny after a while.
I have come to pacify you.
For all its minor issues and in our opinion slightly dated menus and interface, underneath lies a pretty fun game, one that fills the niche of the third-person perspective MOBA to provide that sort of PvP MMO experience that many gamers look for, but without the grind.
In a lot of ways, Smite is similar to other MOBAs in the genre. The selection of heroes, the layout of the map, the lanes, jungle, and team composition of carries, solos, junglers and supports all come from the same cookbook as other games. However, the addition of the third-person camera creates a far more immersive and intimate experience, where traditionally you can click around the minimap and watch your champion from above like a puppet master. In Smite, your camera is bound to your character, and this proximity creates a very different feel to the traditional MOBA, and one which some will love and others perhaps won't be too keen on. Visually, the game isn't breaking new ground, but for a game that was released in 2014, it's kept up with the times, and the cartoony art style and the bright colour palette do create a nice ambience. Similarly, the sound and music serve to supplement the gameplay without adding too much or taking too much away. And perhaps most importantly, the gameplay itself feels excellent. Character movements are responsive, the abilities for many of the characters feel impactful, and when you find yourself in the middle of a fight, the mixture of gameplay and the third-person camera make you feel like you're in the thick of battle. And with more than 100 characters to choose from, the game really opens up your options to the ways in which you choose to fight these battles. Overall, we gave Smite a 3.5 out of 5. The game is a fresh take on the traditional MOBA genre, and I personally hope that the third-person MOBA niche expands into the future. Let us know in the comments what you think of the game, or whether or not you agree with our review. We're the Bullet Sponges, and we will see you in the next one.